Aloha Ukulele Club of Hawaii. It's Sarah Maisel here. I'm very excited to be going over just some different vamps. We've got an amazing ukulele club coming up with Kekoa Woodward, and I know we're going to be playing the Hawaiian vamp a lot for many of these songs. So I've chosen different vamps that are in keys that we will be using, so you can try some of these out. Some of these variations will sound better in a group setting than others, but I wanted to be able to give you just some variety, and you can try these out. So our very first one is just going to be the key of F, where we're going to have a G7 followed by a C7 and then F. So again, G7, open 2, 1, 2, C7, open, 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 1, and then of course F, 2, open, 1, open. And it's 2 beats for your G7, 2 beats C7, and 4 beats of your F. If you may remember, we've actually touched on vamps a few times. Corey Mao does a really great discussion of vamps for our very first ever ukulele lesson, mini lesson that we've done for club last year. So you can definitely check it out. We have all of those lessons available. But let's just move forward. Now, I also want you to think of this too as a 2, 5, and 1, because the chords we're doing, that's the second note found in your F major scale. So F, G, and it's a G7, G7, C7, if I'm in the key of F, F, G, A, B, C, that's the 5, and of course F is our 1. Something to keep in mind if you're trying to figure out vamps and other keys. All right, let's go ahead and play this through plain Jane before we change it. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. G, C, and F for 4. Again, G7, C7, and F. Very simple. We've done this at club many times, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on. Now, this particular variation may not always sound good with your neighbor, but it's really cool, and I wanted to show it to you anyway. So we're actually, for those of you who are fancy pants, we're going to move up the neck, and we're going to play a G9 chord, which is just a variation of a G dominant 7 or G7 chord. I do it as a double bar, so 4, 5, 5, 5, and then I take this double bar and I move it down. So I'm holding 3, 4, 4, 4, then I move it down again, but this time my middle finger is only going to cover 2 strings. So I'm holding 2, 2, 3, 3. Okay? So let's try it together. Now, I like to do a double bar. Remember, when we bar, we want to pull the instrument into our body. You don't want to be squeezing, have your thumb squeezing directly behind. One of the things that Craig and I generally talk about with barring is you don't need your thumb. Look at that, because I'm pulling the instrument into my body and using counter pressure to help me. So 2, 3, 4, the G9, move it down, and then move it down, but scoot over some fingers. Again, 4 and 5, move it down again. If I was to play this in time, you might hear something that sounds a little like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I might move it up. Let me do it again, but not as bad. So you can see here what I did was I played our first one, the next one, and then this one. 1, 2, 3. And on the 4th beat, I scooted everything up to be that second chord we played, taking me back to that first one. The other thing I'm also doing is releasing pressure in between every single time I play it. That's something that you'll be able to do in time. So don't get too frustrated if you're like, I can't make it sound like you. Just practice. Pause the video and practice. Remember, this is a video, so I move quickly so we can get through everything. Another key we're going to work with is the key of A. Our actual chords are going to be our B7, so open, 2, 3, 2, 2, followed by our E7. That's going to be our 1, 2, open, 2, and then the A for 4, 2, 1, open, open. B7, E7, and then A. B7, E7, followed by A. Not too bad. We're going to play A a few the key of A a few times. So you're going to want to practice the basic one for a little bit before we meet. But I've given you the next position for these chords. So for those of you that want to try, your index is going to be on the 4th fret. And then I'm going to hold what should remind you of a G7. So I'm actually going to be holding 4, 6, 5, and 4. That's my high up B7. Then all we have to do is take your index, flatten it across the 4th fret, take your middle finger and bring it over to the 5th fret. That's your E7. And then I leave my bar and I take my middle and my ring and I form what should remind you of an F chord underneath it. So I've got my 6, 4, 5, and 4 for my A. Okay, let's try doing this nice and slow tempo dolorno. 1, 2, 3, 4. B7, E7, and then A. Again, B, and then E, and then your A. 2, 3, 4. And if this is your first time playing up the neck, pause the video and just practice. Then come back and play along with me. Our next key is the key of D. So let's go through the basics first. And the good news is we've already kind of played some of these chords already. So your E7 is going to be 1, 2, open, 2. A7, open, 1, open, open. And then your D chord, 2, 2, 2, open. Again, E7, A7, and then your D. One quick tip about D is don't try to force your fingers to be in a straight line on that fret. Allow there to be an angle so that you can fit in your frets a little bit easier. Also, some people like to do one finger covers 2 strings while you have something that looks kind of crazy like this. I don't find that to be very comfortable, but if that's what works for you to get the job done, then so be it. So let's go through and just play key of D in the first position. 1, 2, 3, 4. E7, A7, and then your D. Hanaho, and then D. Beautiful. Now we're going to play up the neck. The E7 we're going to use is actually one that we already did just prior to this. You're going to bar that 4th fret and add a finger to your 5th fret. So 4, 4, 4, 5. Then your index can scoot down to the 2nd fret and you'll form what suspiciously should remind you of either the B7 we played earlier or a G7. So I'm going to be holding 2, 4, 3, 4 for my A7. And then for D, I'm just going to bar the 2nd fret and allow my pinky to slide up to the 5th. Not too bad, going from, again, my A7, which was that 2, 4, 3, 4. Bar that 2nd fret and my pinky slides down. Ta-da! And now, super slow, let's go through these. 2, 3, 4, E7, A7, and then D. 2, 3, again. E, and then A, and then D. One more time for good measure. And then D. 2, 3, 4. Yay! And then we have one more key that I know we're going to hit upon, and that's the key of G. This one is actually well, I'll get into the variation in a second. Let's just do your first position chords. So open 1, open, open for A7. D7 of your choice, whether it's what I have written, 2, open, or if you do the bar D7, 2, 2, 2, 3, that's also fine. And then a G chord, open, 2, 3, 2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, A7, and then D7 and G. Let's do it again. A7, D7, and G. Pretty easy. And we're going to do a really cool variation that I bet if you listen closely, you're probably going to hear Kekoa using, actually. This is one that I know lots of folks use, and it's in some ways easier to play than the original. So what we're going to do is you're going to hold that A7 again, that open 1, open, open. But you're going to actually add, and I tend to use my ring finger for this, that ring finger to the second fret of your A string. Technically it's an A9 chord, but just think of it as, you know, A7 with a friend. And then you're going to just lift up your index, I tend to use my middle, and I bring it over to that second fret of my G string. So I have 2, open, open, 2. And then I take my middle finger and it hops over to the C string. So I'm holding open, 2, open, 2. And that's a G major 6 chord. So, oh yes, and this chord I forgot to mention, that is technically a D13. It's based off of a D7 chord. Don't get too worried about the name. But really, this finger, you're just going to be dancing around, either with, you could dance around with your index, I guess, if you wanted, but I tend to dance around where I lift that and this finger dances around. Let's try it. Nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Move it over and move it in. Hanaho. And move it in. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one will generally sound nice with your neighbor. So the only one that I've given you that might not sound the nicest with your neighbor is the very, very first one for our key of F. I just wanted to show it to you because I think it's really cool, and you get a shape that you can move up and down your neck, and it's really nice to play. So I hope you have fun playing and working on these vamps and adding them to songs you already know and love. And I hope you have a lot of fun going through and playing songs in this packet. The jam is just going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody there at Club. So definitely make sure to come up, say hi, let me know if you enjoyed the lesson. And we'll see you at Club, being hosted by Kekoa Woodward in May.